down to the One Africa TV's WhatsApp on 081 200 6659 or send an SMS to 555. One Africa TV, it just gets better. Today on One, Always There. Today on One, your daily dose of local affairs and social media commentary. Today on One, Chikongo refutes allegations of COVID-19 regulations contravention. Namibia fourth in suicide deaths worldwide, says Ministry of Health and Social Services. Council prioritizes decongestion efforts in informal settlements. And more foreign airlines expected to land in Windhoek, says aviation regulator.
The Nampo Regional Commander for Commerce held a press conference responding to allegations made by a concerned member of the public that the force allowed a gathering of more than 10 people at the Southern Industrial Area where state of emergency regulations were not adhered to. Commissioner Joseph Chikongo rejected the allegations and described them as mischievous and void of any truth. The author of the email with over 30 signatories, Lebeuza Shikutuva, expressed their concern in a message sent to the Justice Minister and the Namibian Police, amongst others, questioning why the law enforcement allowed organizers to host a weekly market where the non-compliance of state of emergency protocols was observed. The Commerce Regional Commander confirmed that on the 22nd of August, he was alerted of a large gathering at the Inspirational Tables Market where participants were found eating and consuming alcohol while seated. According to Chikongo, contrary to the remarks by the author, he ordered the trading to stop unless regulations were adhered to.
The organizer was warned that his conduct contravened the state of emergency regulation, and as such, he could be held liable to the penalties that is payable. At the end of the message, all those that were seated were immediately ordered to leave the premises, and the organizers were ordered to remove all the tables and the chairs and allow only take-away basis. The regional commander considered this allegation as serious and tarnishing the image of Commerce Region and that of its commanders. As such, in an effort to comprehend the author's concern, a certain writer, Mr. Lebeuza Shikutuva, was the author of the email.
Lebeuza Shikutuva demanded for investigations into the event and that organizers be charged if found guilty of contravening the regulations.
And remember, the previous regulations only lapsed at 12 o'clock that day. So yeah, on Saturday it was still against the law to effectively have people sit down and dine at the market. And again, really our concern is really just that. Look, if you've warned the people, the organizers, that dining is not allowed at the market, then logically speaking, the expectation is that the police would come back and ensure that that warning is adhered to. Available, he wasn't available. It was really just a matter of misfortune. But I would have loved to sit down with him and discuss, because I think a lot of times when we air these concerns to government officials, the outlook is that we are being unnecessary, we are doing it in malice, that we're being malicious, which is not the case. Our intention is to really strengthen public institutions and make sure that they equitably and equally respond to the nature of everything that happens in the country.
Chikongo said that his office does not issue trading permits, as that task falls under the Ministry of Trade and Industrialization. Shikutuva further stated in the email that the security apparatus has been selective when enforcing the COVID-19 regulations.
I remember recently when you move around there are people who said, but it looks like you are favoring the white there. Remember Joseph Jeffeni there? He was with me. When I was sending people back, irrespective of what color are you, if we find you don't have a mask, we give you one. If you feel you need to go back, you go back. There is this on record today at the office. There were two white people, one was even trying to cover with a t-shirt, an orange t-shirt. Until we said, no, it's fine. He was in a panicking mood. It was too done. And when we went to Gatutula, and everywhere we went, we keep on distributing masks to everybody. The issue of race or the issue of color, to some of us, with our credentials, I don't think really it play any role in our life. So we are there to serve the people of Commerce. So therefore, I'm here to reassure the Commerce residents from different walk of life that the Namibian Police in Commerce region, we are ready to serve our people without fear or favor.
Ashikutuva said in an email addressed to Chikongo today in response to the press conference that while regulations have now been relaxed to allow for the market to operate in the manner that it does, they will continue to point out inconsistencies and inequalities.
I'm feeling so bad because of I have been arrested. We are trying to sell to provide our kids with food, but the police, they come to arrest us.
I was literally apprehended in Independence Avenue. I mean, there was no prior communications with the police or with Bonn or Benga Namibia. These guys literally just apprehended us on surprise.
And when you are talking in a manner that is exaggerated about brutality in this country, I should ask you in which country you live.
Yes, I can confirm that indeed there were 2 cell phones that were found after a search was conducted at the cells that the fish rot accused us staying.
Do you understand the amount of money that the government has spent on the fight against COVID-19? Could they have spent 300 million on tracing people and managing people? Is that even possible?
The Ministry of Health and Social Services at the COVID-19 Center recently announced that Namibia is ranked 4th in the world when it comes to suicides.
In terms of Namibia, it is the 4th in the world when it comes to suicide, yes, whereby it's a worrisome condition.
Lefasi said that the coronavirus pandemic has resulted in the loss of employment and many Namibians have become very depressed.
Let's say, for example, during the pandemic that we are in of COVID-19, most of the people have lost their jobs. So you will find that if, for instance, I lost my job, I'll definitely be depressed, whereby I'll start now isolating myself from others, distancing myself with the shame within me that maybe people might be mocking me now that I've lost my job. I will also withdraw from all the social activity that I normally used to do in terms of like socializing with other people. Yeah, and also maybe I'll just now involving myself into drinking to suppress the feeling that I'm in. Yeah, so those are the signs that one can be looking at. And then some that will be there like communicating with their family in terms of informing them that what would you do if I kill myself.
Bell is spirit clinical psychologist at the center, said that Namibia is 4th in Africa for consuming alcohol and 5th in Africa for alcohol abuse.
Again, the report showed about 50% of people who had attempted suicide had used alcohol the year before. And if you're thinking we are 4th in Africa in terms of drinking, we're also 5th in Africa in terms of alcohol abuse. So there's definitely a link to that. And I think two more things noteworthy to mention. One is also gender. So we do know that women, by far, we have more suicidal attempts amongst females, but amongst males we see more deaths by suicide. Yeah, so the reason being, of course, women tend to drink pools, and that's how we tend to go. And we also tend to talk about it more. So when we're feeling suicidal, we tend to have help-seeking behaviors, where men tend to be more, they'll use hugging or they'll use guns. And then I think the last thing that I would like to mention, it has been mentioned by my colleagues, but I think it's very significant now in this time of the coronavirus pandemic, is social isolation. The more we are isolated, the less we are being supported.
Senior social worker at Item Gameno said that there are many risk factors that lead to suicidal actions.
Some of the causes are other mental or co-existing mental issues. You would find someone with depression, someone with a bipolar mood disorder. Often they struggle with suicide. Then also chronic illnesses is seen as one of the risk factors. But if you look at the environment, you would find that one of the risk factors, and especially alarming in Namibia, is substance use, which is quite alarming.
The World Suicide Prevention Day is commemorated on the 10th of September annually. According to the International Association for Suicide Prevention, every year suicide is among the top 20 leading cause of death globally for people of all ages, adding that it is responsible for over 800,000 deaths, which equal to one suicide every 40 seconds.
Always love to hear from you. Send us your views, comments, and videos with your name and town to the One Africa TV's WhatsApp on 081 200 6659 or send an SMS to 555. One Africa TV, it just gets better.
Aiming to become a smart city by the year 2022, the Minister of Urban and Rural Development, Erastus Uthoni, directed all local authorities, including the Windhoek municipality, to identify densely populated informal settlements in order to transform them into sustainable human settlements. The mayor of the city of Windhoek, Francina Kahongo, said that with the increase of the COVID-19 pandemic and hepatitis E amongst others, it is hindering the process and has become a challenge.
The city of Windhoek set out a vision to become a smart and caring city by 2022. With an increasing number of people living in informal settlements, concerted efforts are needed to transform the current informal settlements into sustainable human settlements where households will be guaranteed a decent standard of living. The increasing cases of COVID-19 and the persisting hepatitis E pandemics, amongst others, are making the attainment of such a vision challenging.
At a recent meeting, Council has responded to the Minister's call and resolved that, amongst others, a technical team chaired by the Human Settlement Division be appointed to come up with a decongestion plan for informal settlements, which then needs to be submitted to the Management Committee and Council for approval.
The type or nature of decongestion or relocation that has been identified or recommended or has been decided to be undertaken. The availability of an alternative land or area where the people can be moved or relocated. This has to indicate the proximity, the size, and other related issues. Is the said land now where you are putting now the people? Minister asked, is the said land or area planned or surveyed, and does it have basic services such as water, electricity, sewer on it? If the identified sites are not surveyed, planned, and have no basic services, you have to estimate for basic and critical work.
Kahungu further said the decongestion of the informal settlements is the first steps towards the formalization of informal settlements and providing dignified shelters to the people.
At this point, I would like to indicate that we are only going to take the religions that believe in God, or any God for this matter, into account, as theology means the study of God and of God's relation to the world.
Okay, I would like to move on to my first point. Like my first speaker said, preaching is like a profession
Point
because...
of information.
Yes.
Yeah. There's that Bushiri, I don't know if you heard of him, and he's also a qualified theologist, and he also takes advantage of the people's vulnerability.
And then 15,000 of the people are coming to live in Africa just because they are building a road for you. We don't have the knowledge to maintain that infrastructure. And now they're just gaining citizenship because they're here for a long time. If you live here for 15 years building a road, of course you can get citizenship. And now there's a land crisis in Africa. Where will Africans live? I am sorry for my continent.
The Namibia Civil Aviation Authority, in an interview with Today on One, revealed that more foreign airlines are expected to land at the Hosea Kutako International Airport this month. The Namibian skies are expected to see an increase in air traffic as a result of the resumption of international flights to Namibia, which forms part of the government's COVID-19 restart plan under the National Tourism Revival Initiative. Speaking to Today on One, Reinhard Gartner, the interim executive director of the NCAA, said that foreign airlines such as Eurowings, Qatar Airlines and others, which before COVID-19 operated under a bilateral air service agreement with Namibia, are automatically allowed to continue flying into Namibia.
Airline traffic is arranged by what we call a BASA, Bilateral Air Service Agreement. And that's between states, not between authorities, aviation authorities, but by states. Now, pre-COVID-19, it was predominantly Eurowings, Ethiopian, Qatar, and the South African Airlines coming into Namibia, and TARC, of course, of Angola, all operating under a BASA agreement. With COVID, all that traffic fell flat. Now, with the borders opening up, specifically Hosea Kutako, those airlines are still operating under a BASA. They are still allowed to come in. They must just ensure that we are notified once they want to resume flights again. Ethiopian Airways just did that, and they landed last week for the first time. Now, we have been officially informed that Eurowings will resume their flights on the 19th of September, landing here on the 20th for the first time after COVID, and Qatar will come in at the end of the month on the 30th. So those three airlines already indicated that they will resume their flights under the BASA, nothing special to arrange, it's all in place. We haven't heard much of the South African Airlines yet, so we're waiting in anticipation to hear when they would like to start.
The last International Civil Aviation Organization security audit for Namibia took place in November 2018, and after several postponements granted by ICAO, the agreed date for the next safety audit was scheduled to take place between October and November 2020. However, due to the adverse impact of COVID-19 on the aviation sector, ICAO granted the Ministry of Works and Transport with another postponement scheduled for next year.
We were and we are prepared for the audit, even this year, but as you know, COVID did play a negative effect on our preparations. So having extra more time will certainly avail us with more opportunities with the limited resources we experienced this year, to make up. So we will definitely be in a better position next year to undergo the audit. But that does not mean, and I think that is very important to understand, that does not mean that the skies are unsafe between now and then. We are as safe as we could be this year, so we will be next year. It's just a verification. Is the member state doing what they're supposed to be doing? It's an audit on us. So yes, we are pretty well advanced, I can say that. Our effective implementation is very high at this stage, very high in the 80s, which obviously does not mean we cannot get in this SSC, significant safety concern. But right now we are pretty much prepared, and we will be even more so next year.
The aviation industry was identified under the Finance Ministry as one of the hardest hit sectors in Namibia's economy, together with tourism and construction, as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. In other leading stories, Agribank has secured funding for stimulus production loans as part of its COVID-19 relief and stimulus package. Agribank Chief Executive Officer Zakaria Ngikembua, in a media statement, advised that clients can start applying as of Monday the 21st of September for production loans in line with the bank's COVID-19 package, adding that these loans are intended to provide stimulus to the economy by supporting the achievement of optimal production levels. He further noted that they are also intended to enhance resilience through the creation of additional income streams for farmers. Both existing bank clients as well as new ones can apply for these loans. A client need not prove any COVID-19 impact but must be in good standing with their existing loan accounts. Ngikembua says that stimulus loans could include loans for production inputs or infrastructure that supports production. Examples include loans for cropping facilities, livestock restocking, charcoal production, poultry and farm infrastructure improvement that directly supports production. And Old Mutual Namibia delivered food parcels in the Omaheke and Kavango West regions, benefiting a total of 380 households valued at 68,948 Namibia dollars and 59,770 Namibia dollars respectively. This initiative marked Old Mutual's final delivery in all 14 regions of the country as part of its commitment of 5 million Namibia dollars towards COVID-19 prevention efforts. Of the 5 million Namibia dollars, 1 million was set aside for food supplies to benefit affected vulnerable individuals and communities across all the regions. The offices of the governors of Omaheke and Kavango West regions, in conjunction with their respective regional councils, have identified needy individuals in specific constituencies of the regions to benefit from Old Mutual donation of the basic food items. This brings the total value of Old Mutual's food outreach nationally to just over $1 million Namibia dollars.
Welcome to Comments Corner, your daily dose of local comments from the hottest social media pages. The Health Ministry has taken note of the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases among students, learners and teachers. Out of 9,818 confirmed cases, 732, which is 7%, were reported from educational institutions in 11 regions, 632 learners and students, and 100 teachers. Jackie said this is the reason why she said that schools must only resume next year. Nari said parents should not allow their kids to get the vaccine. Tai said vaccinate all teachers and learners in the Khomas region. Lloyd said schools should be closed until next year. Although not as prevalent as gender-based violence against women, GBV against men has raised concern with recent cases reported with the city police, and they have urged men to be vocal and speak out on any form of abuse inflicted on them. Barry said this is the best thing that he has heard of in 2020. TC Daniel said if you go to some police stations and report about your girlfriend beating you, the officers will laugh at you. Faris said he is one of those facing this problem and wanted help. Apagun gave contact details for assistance and said that it is time men begin to speak out and seek for help. And that is all from Comments Corner. Be sure to post your comments on our social media pages for broadcast every day only on Today and One.
When you're saying things that degrade women, for me, number one, I am not there, because that is basically what I don't believe in. I don't stand for things that degrade women.
What do you think we can add? What can we put in the basket? First of all, let's put Blossom back in the basket.
Look at the person like, man, let's do a song.
Let's do something.
Just
let's
like
collaborate.
Let's collaborate.
Americans were claiming us.
Yes, exactly. To the rest of the world, they belong to us. Namibia, Baba, Namibia.
I'll help you carry on.
Creating music and putting some stuff out for the people who've been supporting me, that's definitely something that's next on my list.
A look at the weather forecast. The Namibia interior partly cloudy and warm to hot in the south. Elsewhere sunny and hot to very hot. The wind moderate to fresh winds in places over the interior. And the coast partly cloudy and cold to warm. Now we'll look at minimum and maximum temperatures across the country and beyond.
BBC World News, the biggest